Hello to my fellow history lovers, people with curious minds. I am author Eileen Schnabel, author of the Kep Westgard Time Travel to the American Revolution series, and today we are going to do 3 trivia questions about the Stamp Act. Let's see what you know. Number 1, who went to Britain to argue against the Stamp Act? Benjamin Franklin, Crispus Attucks, or George Washington? And the answer is Benjamin Franklin. And he was quite not only our first diplomat, you could say. He traveled to England to argue against the Stamp Act, and then later to France to convince the King of France to come in on our side. And if you think about how difficult travel was at that time, not easy to be an international diplomat, but he did a great job. Number 2, the Stamp Act taxed all forms of written documents, including playing cards. True or false? And the answer to that is true. And it occurred to me that one of the things that would really affect people is often their day-to-day lives, right? So playing cards is something you're going to be very aware of, that there's a tax to just do playing cards or send letters, all the things that had to be taxed. And it's very visceral, so you notice it. So for a lot of election cycles, you'll notice the price of gas is something people are very aware of because it affects their day-to-day life. Well, this is what the British did, and this gets to number 3. Which I think is an interesting situation. Number 3, after many protests by the colonists, the Stamp Act was repealed or called off by the British government. True or false? And the answer to that is true. But here's where I'm going with this. What's interesting is, yes, they repealed the Stamp Act, so suddenly people are like, hey, British isn't so bad. The British aren't so bad. We don't pay taxes on our stamps anymore as that daily thing. However, in the same year, they passed something called the Declaratory Acts. And the Declaratory Acts basically say, yes, we chose to take away the stamp tax. However, we have complete authority over you. We can tax you any way that we want to, and you basically have no right to representation. So what's interesting is the law itself hammers down and basically gives Britain all the rights, where on the average day-to-day thing, you might think, well, we won. But actually, behind the scenes, the laws are getting even more strict. And I thought that was kind of sneaky on the British government side and an interesting idea. And then later, the Townshend Acts will come in the following year, and they'll start taxing more things, which will create another uproar, which eventually will lead to our Revolutionary War. So anyway, that was a little bit of history. I hope maybe you learned something. My dad always says any day you learn something is a good day. And if you knew all that, all the better, because you have the whole day ahead to learn even more new things. So I hope you have a great day. I will see you tomorrow.